What is going on, guys? We're back playing some more Surviving with Botania. And today, guys, we're going to be setting up a fully automated Botania flower farm. Now, this will be really useful because you're not going to have to worry about going really long distances away from your home to find that one color of flower that you need that you couldn't find anywhere close to your base. But another reason that we're doing this today is because a lot of you guys have suggested that along with showing all the different things in Botania, I should also go through and do the challenges. Now, if you don't know what these are, essentially in the Lexica Botania, there are challenges. It's not any of these tabs up here, but down at the bottom, you've got the options, achievements, and then challenges. And they list them. There's a couple different ones in here: easy, normal, hard, and lunatic. And people have suggested that I should do all these or as many of them as I can. And one of the first ones, actually it is the first one, is a flower farm. And eventually, we'll get to the tree farm and all that good stuff and the quarry. But those are far down the road, so we're going to start with the flower farm. And basically the way these work is it says it's not completed yet. Create an automated flower farm of all 16 colors of Botania flowers. Bonus points if the flowers are sorted. So unfortunately, we're not going to be sorting flowers today because there's really not a huge point for us to do it. But essentially, once we're done with it, we mark it as completed, and hopefully, we can be the judge of if we've completed it or not, because there's no way for it to automatically be checked. So, there is a fair bit that we have to go through today when it comes to constructing this, because although it is relatively early on and it's not super difficult to make, it does require a lot of resources. So, I have 2 chests full of stuff. This one really isn't a chest full of stuff, but these are the 2 chests that we're going to be using for today. It did require that I go to the nether and that I kill a couple creepers and stuff like that. But aside from that, it should not be too difficult to make. So the first thing that we need to do is to make the runic altar. So the runic altar is essentially, you're probably going to want to make this pretty early on after the first episode, because you're going to use this to make a bunch of different runes, which will then be used to make a bunch of different flowers and stuff like that. So this is going to require some living rock and either a mana pearl or a mana diamond. We're going to go with a mana pearl because I had an ender pearl laying around and I didn't have any extra diamonds. So we're going to grab out this living rock right here. And we're going to come over. Now, I've had this running for quite some time now. I did add some extra endo flames. I went and gathered a fair bit of charcoal and coal so that this has been running. And it's actually almost full. So we're going to throw in the ender pearl. And we get out a mana pearl and it depletes it a little bit. So then we have this. We can come over here and we can construct the runic altar like this. So you can see that I have right over here a mana spreader right next to the mana pool, and we're going to throw down the runic altar right here. Now the main thing is you are going to need a mana spreader to shoot mana at this, because once you start putting stuff on it, it's going to need mana to actually start creating the rune. So the reason we're going to be using this today is because the way that you generate Botania flowers, it does require a little bit of mana, but we are going to be using the Jaded Amaranthus, I believe is how you pronounce it. So let's go back and we can pull up. Let's go to the functional flora, and we can just search it up if we wanted to, but it's on the second page. It's the Jaded Amaranthus, and basically what this does is it feeds mana from a mana pool, and it will create new mystical flowers in any spot that is available around it. And it's pretty easy to make. All it takes is a rune of spring, a redstone root, a purple petal, a lime petal, and a green petal. So the rune of spring is a little bit annoying to actually make, though, because if we go over here and we go to the rune of spring, you can see that it requires the runic altar, but it also requires the rune of water and the rune of fire. So we need to make these first. Now we get 2 of these, so if we ever need, these in the future, it'll help the process speed up a little bit. But for both of these, you need mana powder, a mana steel ingot, and then this one is a fishing rod, sugarcane, and bone meal, and the other one is nether wart, gunpowder, and nether brick. So to make the mana powder, we need the gunpowder, and the mana steel is just going to be iron. So that is going to be right here, and I assume right over here. So we'll go and make all of these, and then we'll come back, we'll grab the rest of the stuff, and we will throw them into the runic altar. So just drop these in there, get them out, drop these in there, get them out, and let's check our mana. Didn't really go down at all. So the next thing that we're going to need is to grab out, we need the fishing rod, the sugar cane, and the bone meal, and then we need the nether brick, the nether wart, and ooh, I might be short 1 gunpowder actually, because this one, okay, so it looks like I actually am short 1 gunpowder, I think, unless I'm just missing one in here, and I don't think we have any gunpowder over there. Okay, so I actually do need to go find a creeper and kill it, so I will be back once I have done that. Okay guys, so we are back. It actually didn't take that long for me to find a creeper, to kill him, and to get the gunpowder, so now we should be good to go with using the runic altar. So we have all the stuff that we need. We can pull it out onto our hotbar and get rid of all of these useless things down here, at least useless for now. So we got the nether brick, the nether wart, the mana powder, the mana steel ingot. We got all this, and then you're going to need some living rock. Now the reason you need this is because you essentially need any living rock to kind of, it's like the seeds to actually make a flower. You need to put the living rock in once the rune is ready to go, and that's what will allow it to be created. And as you can see, the texture on the runes actually does resemble that of the living rock texture, so it kind of makes sense. So what you're going to do is you're just going to right click on this with all the different stuff that we have to put in there. And there we go. Now you can see that this is firing because it actually has a recipe on it. Can't be created yet. You can see there's a little bit of like a dial going around and filling up around the fire rune. And once it's completed, we'll be able to throw the living rock down. Now it's ready to go, and it shows that you need to throw the living rock down and then right click with the wand of the forest, and boom, there we go. It's a little bit loud. I don't actually know if that's gonna blow you guys' ears out. It's pretty loud for me. Hopefully it wasn't too loud for you guys. But now we've got 2 of those, and we're ready to go on the next one. Again, it really doesn't take up that much mana for these, but we're gonna need the sugarcane, bone meal, and fishing rod. This one's a little bit less of a pain in the butt to get because you don't actually need to take a trip to the nether, but there we go. And if we really wanted to, we could kind of watch the status of the mana pool, but we actually want to get rid of some of this mana or stop this from going, just because it is using up a fair bit of coal, and if we start overflowing, then there's really no point. Okay, so we'll get that going. Obviously this would stop eating stuff, but then it just start despawning after a certain period of time, and so it'd still kind of be bad. So now what we need to do is to finish this off with making the Rune of Spring, which just requires 3 saplings and a piece of wheat. So here we go, we got the saplings, we've got the wheat, and we actually only need 1 of each of these, so we can throw the rest in here. And unfortunately this only gives us 1 Rune of Spring, but we could make another one if we really wanted to, because we do have obviously the 2 extra runes in there. Now once we have this, we'll be able to make the Jaded Amaranthus, and then that's pretty much the main component of this farm. That's what's going to get you the flowers. Then you need to worry about collecting the flowers, which we are going to be using the Hopperhock for. And then we actually need to worry about breaking the flowers automatically, and this is ready to go. You can see that cool animation there. But we need to worry. Oh, I forgot, it gives them back. Okay, I totally forgot about that. That is so weird though. I recall that happening, but okay, so I guess it gives them back to you and doesn't even consume them. That's slightly odd though. Considering that's weird, because you get 2 of these and then you wouldn't even need the extra ones for that. Okay, well, a little bit caught off guard on that one, but we have our Rune of Spring, which is the important part, and now we can just search up the Jaded Amaranthus, and we can see that we need the redstone root, which is really easy to make. You just need the grass with the shears and the redstone, so we combine those, and redstone root, and then we need the purple petal, lime petal, and green petal, which we've got right here. And there we go, so we'll just fill up the bucket with water and throw it in the petal apothecary, and then put all these right in there. Throw that in there, and grab out our seeds and throw those in there, and boom, we have a Jaded Amaranthus. So over here is where we are going to be working. If we set it down in the center here, it should be able to extend to all of the sides, because it should be able to fill up to a radius of 4. So you want to count diagonal 4 to either side 4, any way you want to go. It can even do multiple layers up and down in terms of going 4, but we're only going to be worrying about 1 today, so we can break this, and the center should be in the center of all these torches anyway, so we can throw this down right here, and there we go. So you can see it starts planting because it's already drawing from a mana pool in the area. It should be from this mana pool over here. If we hover it, you can see it automatically connects to that one, and it starts planting. Now it'll start planting, eventually it'll start slowing down when it starts filling up most of the area, but it really does not use much mana at all. And you can see we're getting all the different kinds in here: lime flowers, yellow flowers, blue flowers, purple, every single one that you could possibly want. Now I'm keeping it out of the way a little bit just because when we start breaking these, it would be kind of annoying, since when we break these, it's not going to break just the radius of this, it'll break much bigger. So when you set up the farm, you probably want it to be a little bit out of the way. So the next thing that we are going to worry about is going to be the Drum of the Wild. Now, some of you might be familiar with the drum, the horn, any of those. The drum is pretty much just a version of the horn that can actually be placed down in the world, and when you hit it with a pulse of mana, you are able to break plants in I want to say a radius of 12 around it. So we are going to be making that, and to make that, we're going to need what is up here right now. So it's actually relatively cheap to make if we search up the Drum of the Wild. You can see it right here. There's a couple different types of drums. We're going to be worrying about the Drum of the Wild, though, which requires, like I said, Horn of the Wild. And this requires a pasture seed. And all that requires is some grass and mana to make. So we're going to grab this grass right here. We'll throw it in right over here. We got our pasture seed. That can come back over here. And we can craft this and get both of them. So we got that. Requires a little bit of leather, which is fine. We killed cows to get some food at the beginning of the series. So we got our Drum of the Wild, and I'm going to be putting this right above our Jaded Amaranthus. So that is right, it should be in this block right here. So Drum of the Wild is going to go down right above that. And then what we're going to be making is a Pulse Mana Spreader. Now, this is going to be a regular Mana Spreader combined with some redstone, and this will allow us to trigger a pulse of mana firing out, even if there's nothing for it to go to, by sending it a redstone signal. So we've got our Pulse Mana Spreader here. And what we can do is set this down. I guess we can put it right over here so it's firing directly at it, or else my OCD would freak out. And yeah, so it'll put it right there. You can see it's full, it's ready to go. So we just need to aim it. So let's go bind that to that. So it's aimed up there, it's ready to go. It'll pull from this mana pool. Let's turn this off bind mode. It'll hit that and it'll break some of the flowers. It doesn't break all of them. I've heard, I think it was a max of 30. Don't quote me on that though, but you'll be able to see how many it breaks. And the reason it's fine that it doesn't break all of them is because the flowers will only be replanted in open spaces. So if you break them, as long as you break more before this space completely fills up, then you're not really wasting any time when you're not getting them. So the next thing that we are going to be doing is making the hourglass. So the hourglass is essentially a Botania item that allows you to make a simple 1-block timer. It's pretty darn cool. It's the hovering hourglass. It requires mana steel and 2 mana glass. So right here, all these need to be turned into mana items. Not really expensive again, but we got to bring them over here, throw them in there, and get the mana items out. And then we are going to grab out the gold and the redstone. And let's click this in there, and we've got the hovering hourglass. Now let me see if I can find this in the Lexicon Botania. Actually, we don't need to, because I can explain it to you guys. Essentially, imagine this has an inventory that can store up to, it has like basically an inventory of 1, where it can store up to 1 stack of 64 blocks, and the only 3 blocks that can go in it are sand, red sand, and is it slow sand? I'm spacing out so hard right now. It is the, oh my god, soul sand. Why did I think it was slow sand? Let's just forget that ever happened. Soul sand. Okay. So it can store up to 1 stack of those. It can only store 1 type. You can't combine them. And essentially, regular sand, each block is going to be 1 second in the hourglass before it flips over. Red sand, each block is 10 seconds. And soul sand, each block is 1 minute. So you can kind of work out your timer based on that. Unfortunately, it can't be, I guess, as exact as certain redstone timers could be, but the whole idea is that it's a single block, it's really easy to work with, and so what we're going to be doing is putting it right next to this mana spreader right here. And the reason we're going to be doing that is we're going to throw it down, we're going to throw down the sand in it, and I'm going to throw it down right now without putting the sand in it because we don't have the rest of this setup done, but we'll throw the sand in it, and then when we put that in there, it'll go for 1 minute and 4 seconds, and then it'll flip over, send a trigger to this, which will send a pulse to this and break the flowers, and then it'll do it again 1 minute and 4 seconds later. Now, eventually, if I did get red sand, or if I really wanted to go harvest soul sand, I could work with that. But for now, this seems like a fine time or timer for this. It really comes down to just how many you need, because you can toggle this system off pretty easily. We'll go over that with a lever, which I'm actually going to throw down. I guess we could throw it down right over here. There shouldn't be any issue with throwing it down right here. So once we have that, we need to make the thing that's going to collect everything. And so let's grab our chest out of here and let's throw down the chest right over here. Now, what we're going to be collecting it with, I said, is going to be the Hopperhock. So if you don't know what this is, it's essentially a block that acts like a hopper, and it will collect certain items and pull them into itself. So the way it's going to work is, oh my gosh, do we need another gunpowder? Oh my gosh. Okay, wait, we can use redstone. I forgot we could use redstone for that. Oh my gosh. I didn't even need to go off camera earlier. But the Hopperhock is either going to collect in a 6-block radius if you are not giving it mana, and a 10-block radius if you are giving it mana. So we need the 2 gray petals, the 2 light gray petals, the redstone root again, and then we need the iron. Let's grab out the redstone, this, and then all this stuff right here. And we'll get out the living rock, which was just supposed to be used for making runes. So we'll make the redstone root right there, and we'll take this and bring it over, make it do its mana version. There we go, and there we go. And I think that's everything. We just need to actually make the rune now for this. Yeah, so that's going to be the carpet, the feather, the string, and then the mana steel and the mana powder. So we've got that, and then we need the carpet, the feather, and the string. So carpet, feather, string, it'll fire over. And the only thing that I want to point out while this is going is we are going to have to move this setup right here because the Hopperhock would pick up this coal, and that would be a slight issue. So all this stuff will be moved eventually over there, but I'm going to stop this setup for the time being when we are ready to go, just because it would be a little bit annoying and it would start filling up our chest with that, and you'd hear that constantly clicking over and over and over again as it drops out a fresh one. So now that we've got this, we can store one of the air runes, and we just need to pull out all of this stuff. We'll get our seeds on our hotbar, and we'll be good to go over here once we fill this up with some water. So throw that in there, throw in both of those, and there we go. We have the Hopperhock. So we're going to take out all the coal from in here. We'll let that one finish. And what we can do is throw down the Hopperhock. We're going to throw it down right next to our chest that is going to go into it. Can put things into any adjacent storage container. And a cool thing that you can do with these is by putting down an item frame on a storage container, you can sort items doing that. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be doing that today because we're just going to be throwing all of these into one chest. But, you know, I guess we could put it down right here and actually make a double chest. I don't know if that works, so let's actually stick with the single chest for now. The reason I say that is because I had issues with immersive engineering, if any of you guys saw that series of mine, because when I was sorting stuff and it would input into a chest, it would actually only input into the half of the chest that it was pointing into. Obviously, other mods don't have issues with that, like Ender.io and stuff, but let's just pretend this one does for now. Also, I don't imagine we'll need more than like 2 stacks of any type of flour at any given time. So we throw down the Hopperhock. And now if we pull this out, we should be able to see that it is bound to this right over here, the mana pool, which means it's got a 10-block radius. And the minute we fire, we can throw the sand in here now, I guess, but the minute we fire, this is going to break, I imagine, some things around here because it breaks any kind of vegetation within a 12-block radius. So that'll happen the first time. It should not happen anytime after that, aside for these blocks right here. But one thing that we want to note about this too is if we look up this, you can see that right now it is set to pick up only items in frames. If you shift right click, now it's pick up only items not in frames, and if we click again, pick up any items. That's what you want. If you don't see it right there, it's in gray, it's kind of hard to see. It's the very bottom portion of text below the actual mana bar and below the name, but there's something to keep in mind. So we're seeing this finish over here. We'll be able to see it flip. It'll send the redstone pulse here really quick, and then it'll keep going again. And then we'll talk about why we have the lever over there. So we do have to wait for it to finish, and if you keep looking at this thing, it barely drains its mana. So eventually when we hook something up to this, you could honestly use like a diluted mana pool for this, so that it'll stop filling eventually. But there we go. It sends a mana pulse. You get a little boop, and then it breaks all those, and then they get picked up by the Hopperhock and put into this chest. And boom, you can see we have a fair bit of flowers in here. It looks like it broke anywhere from, I guess it could, yeah, it broke around 30. It might be exactly 30. You got 10, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's roughly 32, it looks like. It definitely is 32, actually. So it breaks 32 flowers, it'll put them in there, and you can see that this thing barely goes down. This will start flipping again, and it'll start replanting. So now we need an off switch for this, because you don't always want this running. Well, an off switch would be a lever. So we're going to flip the lever. It's going to send one more pulse because you're giving it a fresh redstone signal, and it'll break those, and then it will stop. So you'll see that. Now, the reason that this works is because this has a constant redstone signal. So when this one sends a quick redstone signal, it's not going to register that happening. So the minute we want to start it up again, we flip this lever off, and it'll allow it to start going again. So a pretty easy way. You can see that that one should have just flipped, but it didn't actually send a signal. This will have picked up a bunch of new ones. And you can see, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've gotten every possible color of flower. They've been put into a chest, and we've got an automatic farm. Now, the only thing that's really not fully automatic about this is the fact that we would have to refill this mana pool right here eventually. But once we've got this whole setup going, we've got mana flowing around our base, we will be perfectly fine to let this run 24/7, have some big storage with the petals being processed and all that stuff. Obviously, if you've got, a ton of different mods combined, you can, have DSUs and stuff like that storing these, or you can have AE systems, or whatever the new storage mods are in 1.10.2, and you can have them being auto crafted into their petals, and then you can auto make those into flowers, and we'll actually get into that later in this series. But for now, it's going to be stored like this. So I think it's about time we grab our Lexica Botania, we open it up, go to the challenges, go to the flower farm, and mark that as completed. Now, feel free to let me know in the comments if you think I didn't actually do this challenge justice, but I think I did. And if you guys don't think I did, then we'll do it again. But I doubt you guys want to see that, so you'll probably all say you think I did it correctly. But you can see you got a nice check mark next to that, and we've done a pretty decent job of covering a couple of the pretty useful early on functioning flora, especially the Hopperhock. It's pretty darn awesome. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I will talk to you guys later.